My name is John Sylvester. I'm a reporter with the Age newspaper. Some people call me Sly of the Underworld. There are 5 million crime stories in the naked city, and this is one of them. Just a heads up before listening, you may want to check out Mr. Cruel Part 1. Otherwise, this won't make any sense at all. Sometimes fresh eyes see things differently, which is why it's refreshing to talk to American serial killer profiler John Kelly on one of our most notorious cases, the 1991 abduction and murder of Carmen Chan.
Because we never came across a case where a man would break into the house with the parents there and actually steal a child. I mean, to us, it's like kind of incredible. You know, what kind of man is this?
It's the crime I'm most often asked about. Was it the notorious serial offender, Mr. Cruel? And do police know who did it? On the night of April 13, 1991, 13-year-old Chan was abducted from the family's sprawling Templestowe home, which was protected by a 2-metre fence and electric gates. Her parents, John and Phyllis Chan, were not there that night. They were at the family business, a Chinese restaurant in Main Road, Lower Plenty. Carmen read to her sisters, aged 7 and 9, before they watched a documentary about Marilyn Monroe in Carmen's bedroom. About 9 p.m, the 2 younger girls headed for the kitchen to make a snack. In the hallway was a man wearing a green-grey tracksuit and a dark balaclava and holding a silver knife. He kidnapped Carmen, leaving the younger sisters unharmed.
After locking the 7 and 9-year-old girls in the bedroom, the intruder left the house with Carmen, who was barefoot and wearing only a knee-length nightdress. The police air wing scoured the surrounding...
That would be the last time she was seen. Her body was found a year later by a man walking his dog at Edgar's Creek. She had been shot 3 times in the head, execution style, and buried in a shallow grave.
2 days ago, the skeleton was found in the landfill dump. Now police believe it could be Carmen Chan. Police believe finding the body, if it is Carmen Chan, has greatly narrowed the hunt for her killer. They believe the person responsible knew this area well.
A team of profiler John Kelly, former American homicide investigator Frank Adamson, psychiatrist Dr. Ed Mirsky, and longtime probation officer Pamela Bogart from STALK, which stands for System to Apprehend Lethal Killers, has reviewed the case and provided a new profile of the killer. Kelly says Mr. Cruel was a burglar who escalated to abducting girls. In his first case, he tied up the parents but did not remove his victim from the family home. The second, he abducted his victim and kept her for 18 hours. And the third, it was 50 hours.
Detectives say the same man, dubbed Mr. Cruel, could have abducted 10-year-old Sharon Wills in 1988 and 13-year-old Nicola Linus last year, but admit the latest incident could be a copycat crime.
John Kelly is a recovering cocaine addict who became a substance abuse counsellor advising the US Presidential Committee and then a crime profiler. Now, John, you've got your own YouTube channel?
Yes. John Kelly Profiler on YouTube. Yeah, we've got quite a following.
I would think so, because your area is pretty fascinating.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks.
Again, John Kelly Profiler here, and
welcome to our show today, which is about the Long Island serial killer.
Very sad case. The case of Summer Wells. Summer Wells is missing. She's missing out.
He says serial killers are often addicted to their crimes. So your working theory, as I understand it, coming from the substance abuse field, is that serial killing can be a form of addiction.
Absolutely. They keep upping the ante. They need to up the ante in order to get the excitement. Just like a cocaine addict has to up his dose of cocaine. They always have to be, raising the stakes, if you will, because it excites them. They get bored real easy.
He first studied Canadian commander Russell Williams, who began by committing burglaries and moved to rapes and abductions before killing 2 women. Kelly says he couldn't stop. He interviewed Texas triple killer Henry Lee Lucas and corresponded with John Wayne Gacy, who murdered 33 boys and young men in the 1970s.
Many were tortured and raped, their bodies buried under his house. Lethal injection ending the life of America's worst mass murderer, who until the end was denying his guilt.
If you're going to go ahead and execute me, go ahead and do it, but you will not have gotten the killer.
Gacy spent 14 years...
Having learned from these men who showed no remorse and no guilt, he wanted to do more than learn from them. He wanted to catch them. His first case was the Green River Killer in Washington, where he teamed up with Task Force Chief Frank Adamson, King County's Sheriff Commander. They began with more than 1,000 suspects that got whittled down to about 5. One of those was eventually convicted after DNA analysis connected him with 48 murders committed over 20 years.
Found in Auburn, 2 of the at least 49 women Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, pleaded guilty to killing.
Kelly says Mr. Cruel reminds him of the Golden State Killer, Joseph James D'Angelo, who was a sacked US police officer convicted of 120 burglaries, 51 rapes, and 13 murders.
Well, you know, when we're talking about Mr. Cruel, and I can't think of anybody crueler, because the worst, from my years in this business, the worst situation a parent can face is not knowing where their child is, especially through a stranger abduction. That's what we found.
One theory on Mr. Cruel was that he was someone with a police or criminal justice background because of his obsession with cleaning the crime scene. The profile, created by Kelly and his team, says he will be, quote, extremely neat and clean, may be obsessive over cleanliness and hygiene. He may be obsessive and compulsive.
He would wash them, his victims. He would take care of them. I think he did their hair. I think he did their nails. I forget all he did, but he cared for them when he had them in his, in his house or wherever he had them. So when he had that kind of power and control, he seemed to send them back to their parents, all washed up, if you remember. Now, that can be to remove DNA, too, but they were all washed up. They were real clean. Well,
Certainly, police say he planned each crime in advance, knew the house he was going to enter, and knew young girls would be there. They say in the Chan case, he went as far as daubing graffiti on the car to leave a false trail. When Carmen went missing, there was blanket publicity identifying Mr. Cruel as the suspect, which means he may have panicked. She was shot 3 times in the head, leading some experts to say it was execution style. Kelly has another theory. He believes the killer lacked the composure and fired blindly into the back of the head.
I just think he lost it. I think he became extremely angry and anxious, anxiety-ridden. He had a loss of control for the first time since he was stealing. Now, what I'm saying is stealing these girls out of these houses. When you look at Carmen Chan, you're looking at overkill. Overkill. What little girl needs to be shot 3 times in the head?
The FBI profile said the offender has gone to extraordinary lengths to disguise his identity, and to date no victim has seen his face. So Kelly's theory is that Carmen may have seen the offender's face. Kelly says he was obsessed with staying in control and was very concerned about being seen.
This guy had to be perfectly sure. Perfectly is the word for him, because he does everything perfect. If you noticed, he's obsessed with just dotting every I and crossing every T. He never made a mistake, right? He can't let her live.
John Kelly says he's never seen such an investment as the Spectrum Task Force, which went for 29 months trying to find Mr. Cruel. To canvass 30,000 houses is unprecedented, he says. We'll be back straight after the break when some kind people have paid for ads. Sadly, I get none of it. The profile, created by Kelly and his team, says he will be, quote, an organised offender with above average intelligence. His primary intake sense is visual. However, he has extremely strong auditory sense as well. He has a history of breaking and entering along with theft, long before he attacked and abducted girls from the house.
Maybe stealing in the beginning radios or TVs or guns or whatever, and then working his way up, needing more excitement, needing more sexual excitement.
His criminal past would also include sexual assaults and stalking victims. He may be extremely angry with the parents of victims for personal reasons. He carries a personal anger towards his parents, possibly for a lack of parenting and neglect. He misdirects this anger onto his primary victim's parents. He has a problem with being social and intimate with women of his own age group.
So because he can't have that with a woman, he moves down to a younger girl that's not as mature and that he can have more power and control over, and he can have more confidence with than he could have with maybe a woman his age or an older woman, right? I believe the guy is certainly a pedophile, but I do believe that fantasy of a relationship was going on, and that, in his mind, some way in his distorted thinking, he believed the girl wanted to be romantically involved with him, even though as young as she was.
He has a connection to where the body was found, possibly even being in a group that cleaned the area.
A meticulous search of the paddocks began today. Several pieces of material were photographed and collected, while forensic officers sifted through mounds of earth. Police are now waiting on forensic, DNA, dental and other checks to confirm the body is Carmen, and that may take several weeks.
From our work with looking at the modus operandi of these different killers, whenever they have a body on their hands is when they are most vulnerable, John. This is when they are most vulnerable. He has got to really be familiar with that area. He has got to be totally familiar with that area, especially Mr. Cruel, because he's a perfectionist, or he tries to be. He's obsessed. He dots the I's and he crosses the T's.
Yeah, a number of detectives that I've spoken to say there's nearly always a link between where somebody tries to hide a body and the killer. There might not be a link where the crime happened, but you think about it logically, you go somewhere that you know, which may be off a main road, which might be a bit deserted, but you've been there before. You don't look at a map and go, I've never been there. And particularly if you're doing it at night, because, you don't know who else is there.
Exactly.
John Kelly knows a great deal about serial killers, but there still remains the question, who is Mr. Cruel and where did he go?
When the family has a child who's been murdered in a stranger abduction, there's really no such thing as closure. I mean, they may cope with it better over the years as years go by, especially if they have other children. But there is a perpetual hole that is burned in their heart, and it's never closed. There'll always be an ache in that heart from losing that child.
Absolutely. This episode is reported by me, and produced by an absolute gem, Julia Carr-Katzel. Mixing by the ever-reliable Cormac Lally. What will we do without him? Tammy Mills is a jet and is also executive producer of podcast. Special thanks to Lisa Muxworthy and Tom McKendrick. I'm John Sylvester. Thanks for listening and come back soon. I certainly will.